Michelle with two L's, and I am one half of Force of Light Entertainment. I am here to give you my review today of the new Sony movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I was going to do an out of the theater reaction for this movie, and I decided against it as we're going to get into this because I really needed to be able to gather my thoughts after I watched it because this movie throws so much at you that it took me a while to kind of process everything I had seen and exactly how I felt about what I saw. So we'll get into it, is this a masterpiece or is it a mess? We'll get into that. But I want to give you my initial thought, the way we do reviews, initial thoughts. Well, I'll give you the positives, then the negatives, and then my rating of the movie. And I'm going to warn you that my feelings, and there's no spoilers in this, my feelings are kind of split with this. There's things I really enjoyed about this movie, and there's things I really did not, or that definitely took away from my enjoyment of the movie. So let's get into my initial thought. My initial thought was that movie was long. And shout out to Chris Gore of Film Threat. He recently has talked about how Hollywood has a time, like a time, how long length problem with their movies. And I would say that's true. And I would say that this movie falls into that. This movie is like 2 hours and 20 minutes. I mean, this is a kid's movie. I mean, it's for all. Adults can enjoy it too, but it is an animation. It is going to appeal to a younger audience. And that 2 hours and 20 minutes, let's just say I felt it. I definitely felt it. And so that's my initial thoughts. It was long. You could have easily made this a 2-hour movie. And I think in doing that, you actually would have made it like a sharper, better movie. And I would have had less complaints with it had it been that way. Okay, so let's get into the let's see. We'll do positives first. We'll do that. We'll do the positives first. Well, like the first one that came out in 2018, this movie looks like a comic. I mean, it looks like you're reading the pages from a comic book. And I think the animation, again, is very neat. And just, we actually heard a kid behind us say, "Oh, how cool." Like, I do want to say, I think kids will enjoy this movie despite the length. But yeah, the visuals they're stunning at times. The vibrant colors and just the way things move and the world that they've made. It's very cool. It's a neat. It's very neat looking. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It looks cool. And then also, I really did enjoy Spider Gwen, Gwen Stacy in this movie. I really enjoyed her story in this, and they definitely give you her story quite a bit, even though it's Miles Morales' movie. She gets quite a bit to do in this, and I did enjoy her full arc and story in this movie. Let's see, other part. Miles was good in this and everything. I really enjoyed once you do get, I believe Jake Johnson's his name, who voices the other Peter Parker that we met in the original. Very much enjoyed that. And there is a lot of fun to be had in this movie that I would give as a positive. And again, my feelings are kind of mixed because there's a lot that I did enjoy. Again, with the visuals, the music I thought really fit. Whoever did the music, I thought it really worked with this movie. Again, some of the stories in it, elements I really enjoyed. But let's now kind of get into my critiques. And let's see, my critiques of this movie would be, one, the length, as I've kind of already addressed. And I would say too, that's why it took me a while to process it. At times, it's like there's too much being thrown at you on screen. And that would be a very big critique. And there's times it's like there's too much going on. Like a scene, in my opinion, will go on too long and it kind of begins to wear you out. At least it wore me out a little bit as in the audience. Because you're like, man, we could have cut 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. That's kind of what I kept doing throughout this movie. And I think in doing that, it would have just been, again, a sharper movie. And I really wouldn't have any complaints with this movie at that point. I will say this, and I feel that I should critique this because it was critiqued when it was done in Wonder Woman 1984. This movie basically has right around 15-minute openings. The movie begins with Spider Gwen, with her story, and it's about a 15-minute setup. Then you go to Miles Morales, and it's another about 15-minute setup. And so I mean, you've got about 30 minutes, and you've not even really begun to fully establish the plot of the movie. Again, the time element, I just think things could have been cleaned up quite a bit. So that's kind of, and there is a bit of a mess in the plot. Like, there's kind of two villains, and at times you're kind of like, well, where's this movie going? So I do think there's a bit of a plot mess issue. That's kind of where the mess comes in. Just not being precise enough, I think, even in the story at times. But, with that being said, I do think overall it was pretty good. And I will say, and this is not spoiling anything, if you don't want to, I mean, take any chance, you can just cover your ears for the next 3 seconds. Going into this movie, do know this is basically a part one of a part two. That's it for those of you who might have covered yours. But because, and I will say this, I enjoyed it enough. I'm curious to see how this is going to end. So I saw that the next part of this movie, the third movie, will be out in, it will be out, I believe, in March of 2024. So it must already be made with that release date. But I'll definitely go see it. And so and the masterpiece, is it a masterpiece? I think it is a very unique animation. I think what they've done is it's very cool, just as it was in 2018 when that first one came out. I would not consider this movie a masterpiece, but I do think there's a lot of fun to be had. I think young boys and even probably many young girls will really enjoy this movie. And I do actually say that, though it's a Miles Morales movie, I think that they really balance it where females could enjoy it. And not that you have to have Gwen's character for the females to enjoy it, but it really is kind of between the two of them. I mean, they give Gwen a lot to do in this. So I think boys and girls both could really enjoy this movie. And I think it's going to clearly do very well. And I see it even doing well probably next week into the box office. I see it having probably a decent hold at least and being able to be very profitable for Sony. So now what is my rating of this movie? Okay, my rating, 5 being the maximum level of enjoyment, hoots, 5 hoots. I'm going to give this movie 3.5 hoots. There was a lot I enjoyed. There was a lot of fun to be had in this movie, but it was the lack of restraint in my belief of this movie should have been at least 20 to 25 minutes shorter. And had they done it, it probably would have been like a 4 to 4.5 on my level of enjoyment. Yeah, the time of this movie took away from me a little bit, but overall, it was a pretty solid movie. So what are you guys' thoughts on the new Spider-Verse movie? Have you seen it? Are you planning on seeing it? And if you have seen it, what did you think about it? Share your thoughts below in the comments. And if you have not yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also give the video a thumbs up. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, remember to be a force of light. All right, bye guys.